Common sense media activated.
This episode is dedicated to the future leaders of the world. Believe in yourself, follow your dreams, and make it happen.
You are now listening to Dad Mode, a podcast with a dad's eye view. And we are your hosts, the Dad of Steel.
And it's James.
And I'm your friendly neighborhood dad, Rich, once again.
Aha.
Yeah.
Friendly neighborhood dad. And the daddy of steel. So friendly, he's leaving the
neighborhood. I know. Leaving Mr. Rogers behind. But yeah.
That's right.
What's going on, Pops?
What is up, Dad?
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm all right, man. I'm just it's a little busy on my way, as you may know, or as you all know.
You act like you got things to do.
Yeah,
man.
I got a lot of things to do with this move. And I will say, if you are pondering moving, get rid of everything that you don't need. Dad tip of the day.
So that's not a public dad announcement. I guess that's just
straight up dad tip, man. I mean, I'm telling you,
just dad tip, life hack. Dad hack.
Dad hack. Yeah, we are in the midst of trying to get rid of stuff, and it's so hard is getting rid of stuff that is you can either try and give it away or sell it. People just are hard to communicate with. Like, oh, come get it for free. Oh, well, I don't want to. Can you bring it to me? I'm like, oh, man, no. All that stuff.
Nah, man. Either you want it or you don't. This ain't a delivery service.
Exactly. And so, yeah, other than that, just trying to get done with that and make it my way down there to old hot Texas. Can't wait.
Yeah, weather's picking up down here, man.
Yeah,
it's getting warm.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. So, hey, what about you? What you been up to?
Basketball. A whole lot of that.
Yeah.
More than I expected. So, it's been fun, though. Kids, the girls are in AAU, and little man wants me to play ball, so I've been working with him, which has been fun, going out there and doing the whole father-son thing. I never did basketball quite like this with the girls because they started playing later. But I think him seeing them's kind of lit a little bit of a fire in him. So that's been kind of cool.
That's good to see that. Yeah, at least that's good to hear that. Yeah, especially you being that type of dad that's able to have, that's willing to put the time in and the effort to push down to them and keep them going, committed. So I'm glad to hear that.
It's been a most days of the week endeavor. The girls both have practice on Monday, and then they had it on Tuesday. Sorry, my oldest had hers Tuesday. My youngest had hers today. I took her today, and then Monday. I also coached at their school in their intramural team. Then I got to do it again tomorrow. And then the intramural team has games on Saturday. They have training on Sunday and games on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot of basketball, but it's only going to be this hectic for, the next few weeks because in May, the intramural stuff goes away and that frees up our schedule. And then I can finally buckle down and do all the things I'd like to do for Chasm. So I'm just kind of riding this wave of not thinking about podding too much. It's been kind of nice.
Yeah, it's going to be nice when we take a little break, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. It's going to be fun to jump back on the mic, especially with WFS. So I can't wait to share the life experiences and all that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's going to be great to get down there, and then you're going to get your nephew down there too. So you'll be able to
Yes, sir.
teach him up some things and teach your niece up some things, so it's going to be good. So, we're going to talk about?
What?
We're going to talk about the family business, man. And I know you brought this topic to me the other day, and
inadvertently,
yeah. And I mean, it was a good topic. It's a really good topic. And of course, we are going to, we got some inspiration from this, for this, and we are basketball fan people, I guess say fanboys or whatever. But yeah,
fans, players,
yeah,
we
players.
have,
and so,
players.
We got LeBron James, and that was the main inspiration. And his son, Bronny James, and his son, Bryce, I'm not sure. I think they're 2 years apart in age, but,
I believe so.
Yeah. So they're going to be, or at least Bronny is going to be going to the NBA draft, at least to where he's, and then also I think he's going to be in the transfer He's in the transfer portal to be trying to jump ship from USC.
He's trying to keep his eligibility.
Yeah, exactly. So he can still stay in college if he doesn't get drafted, at least that's how I understood it. And so, that's something to be talking about is, we say the family business, not just about owning or it's not about just taking over the business of whatever you've been inherited. It's also talking about following the footsteps and what it can bring and the pressure it can bring. A lot of times people get that from if you have a child that you want to give the family business to, do you feel comfortable doing it? So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to also talk about nepotism and, basically what it means. And, that's just, we're also going to talk about, kids and even individuals creating their own path.
Yes.
So creating their own path and what they want to do, and how we can how we can guide them or not guide them or whatever the situation is.
Let them choose their own adventure.
Exactly. Hopefully they can get to that level of success that they want to have. So yeah, now we got any gratitude shout outs you want to pop in there before we go?
I will give a shout out actually to Coach Bianca. Coach Bianca is the girls basketball coach, or one of them. And she's a big advocate for mental health. So part of the program is she talks with the girls about, what they want to be, their own self-image, how comfortable they feel talking with an adult, advocating for their mental health, their physical health, etc. I have not seen a program do that. And my wife and I were just, our jaws dropped. We were like, yes, this is right. Especially this day and age with social media. I shout out to them. Shout out to the whole club, FOA, Family Overall Basketball. Shout out to the whole group, because they're a wonderful group of folks, and we're having a really good time as well. The girls are having much more fun than we are, but we enjoy being so far part of, no pun intended, that family.
Yeah. My gratitude is, of course, always going to be the lovely wife. I can't say nothing, but she already knows how I feel about her, and I know it gets all the listeners are going to think it's old, but it's never going to be old to me. Talking about my infatuation with my wife and how much she means to me and what she does for me. Of course, I want to say gratitude to you, for being patient with me and making it to where, hey, I'm in this moving process. So there's a lot of things going on in my life to where things are kind of getting a little pushed onto the side, but hey, I got to take care of my deal here before I get down there and make it happen. So
you got to handle your business, man.
Exactly.
Understood.
Yep. And then of course, all the dads out there, all the moms out there, everybody's trying to be a good individual. So gratitude to all of them.
Yes, for real. You out there, those of you, that's probably the better way to put it, our subscribers, our followers, you're getting this episode a little later than we normally put it out. That's just the nature of the situation right now. Dad Mo never ends, and We have to make adjustments and be flexible. So we appreciate your patience, especially with Big Rich here getting ready to pack it all up and head down to the Lone Star State. So real quick, my dadfession that I have, and I'm going to pull out the Daily Dad because it was weird. It kind of coincides with it. But
isn't that how that works?
On an alternate take. So my daughter tells me today, or I hear glass rattling around from around the corner. My wife and my eldest are in the kitchen. And I'm like, what's with all this glass? And I said, that sounds like glass. My wife says, yeah, it is glass. So I came around. I was like, what broke? Who broke it? She said, well, it wasn't your kids. I said, well, then if it wasn't our kids, was it you? No. Tells me a story that some kid at school, they play a game called Book It. I don't know if that's where they slam book bags or books down or whatever, but some kid grabbed her lunchbox and slammed it down and broke the glass container that I sent her to school with. And when she told me that, I flipped out. Not on her blaming her. I flipped out because my natural instinct as a protector is to make sure my kid's not getting picked on and bullied on.
Oh, so yeah.
It wasn't my finest moment, but I straight up asked, did you punch him in the face? Did you slap him? Did you? Yeah. And I cursed. I said, did you tell him some S? Did you tell that mother effer some? Like I went off. I was irate because I'm thinking that some kid's picking on my daughter and breaking her stuff. Well, breaking our stuff, but she is the steward of said stuff. She had her lunch in there, you know, and had her bag, her lunchbox not been quite shut, glass could have flown up and hurt somebody, get somebody in the eye. They could stepped on it. The kids are running around and then they slip in their Crocs because you know how kids are. Well, they don't wear Crocs to school because they're to uniform school. But you get my point. Yeah, kid being stupid, that's shoeless. Yeah, it's dangerous. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm going off and off and off and off, and I won't say everything I said. And my daughter's a saint, man. She's just patient, just letting. She's like, let the old man get it out.
Which daughter? Did I hear that?
My oldest.
Oh, oldest. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So she just lets me get it out, and then she proceeds to tell me that the kid did apologize. She did tell a teacher, and the teacher's going to talk to him or his parents or whatever. And I was like, man, tell that kid he owes me money. Like, he owes you some money. She's like, he did offer to pay. I just didn't know how much it cost. I said, $5. That's the tax. Probably cost less than that. But I said, $5. Yeah. Tell him to have that money. And like, my wife is laughing. She was like, I told you your dad was going to freak out.
No, I mean, it's just common sense. Hey, you don't touch. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been that serious, but I would have been like, hey, you know, come on, they're like you said, they're a steward of their possession. Like, one, why are they grabbing your personal belongings? And
that's what I'm more mad about.
Yeah, you know, so you're getting your personal space. Then guess what? Pop, something's going to happen.
And I gotta realize she's not like, you know, that's one of those things we got to talk about in a later episode, realizing that they have their own personality. My daughter's not like me, because if it was me and the kid grabbed my stuff, and I know the kind of parents I have, they wouldn't stand for it. So me being the kind of person I am, there would have been some pushing and shoving, or I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have slapped the kid. Probably wouldn't have punched him, but I would have got in trouble. I'd have slapped him. I'd have told him. I would have been cursing and screaming and pushing and shoving, and you know, we would have been separated, friend or not, because I don't play like that. He just broke my stuff. It's not even mine. It's my parents. And so now I got to go home and I got to tell my folks that somebody broke your stuff and they're going to be mad at me for not taking care of my stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of mindset that I had at her age. You know, I'm like, but people didn't do stuff like that to me because they knew better. Not that I'm a tough guy. They just know that I don't play like that. And I don't play with other people's stuff like that. That's just disrespectful. That's what I told her. I said, that kid just disrespected your stuff. You know, it doesn't matter. She said, well, he didn't know there was glass in there. I said, that's not the point.
That's not the point. Yeah.
He should have been keeping his hands to himself.
Yeah.
And now we're out a glass container. Luckily, to be honest with you, we have a whole bunch of those things. I bought a bundle, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
Keep your hands to yourself. So I want to tie this to Daily Dad for a moment, because April 11th, that's today, right? Oh, today's the 10th. I read I guess I'm a day off. So I read tomorrow's stuff today.
Mm-hmm.
But it says, don't be mad at good people. And the gist of it is not getting angry with your family for problems that you're dealing with. You know, what are you showing them by getting mad and taking out your frustration? It's easy to do because they're around you, right? You know, something outside of your home, something at work, whatever, a traffic incident, you're frustrated. You come home, you lash out on your wife, you lash out on your kids because they're there. But I'm going to go and read one particular part. It says the fact that we can get mad at someone because they love us enough to put up with it, or because they're kids and they just have to live with it and us, is not an excuse. We should try to not get upset with anyone, but if we're going to get mad, let's make sure the object of our frustration is the target of offense, not of opportunity.
Okay.
So I thought, yeah, that's tomorrow's that I read today. I didn't realize my dates are off. But yeah, that really stood out to me because I think I appropriately pointed my anger at a person who wasn't my child, but I didn't need to quite go off the way I did because it's just it wasn't. I shouldn't have used that kind of language, and I apologized to him. I told my children, "Hey, that was language of unbecoming of a father in front of his kids." Like I said, I was on some street level stuff.
Yeah,
because I don't want my kids getting picked on. You know, sometimes violence begets violence, and whatever. And I have to remember with my children, they're not me. We all have to remember with our children that they're not us, and we live in a different society. And sometimes you got to let cooler heads prevail.
Yeah, and I mean this is an interesting thing that you're mentioning too, because we're talking about following footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily have to be good footsteps. It could be, I guess, as far as when it comes to your daughter, you're glad that she didn't follow your footsteps. As far as just go ahead and just like go ape crazy on whoever, So of course, of course, when it comes to kids nowadays, or if you have kids that are, or not kids, let's say if you have parents or fathers or mothers that are drug dealers, they see that, you don't want them to follow in those footsteps. You want them to create their own path. Hopefully a good path to where they know that those lessons are learned through through the past, to where they won't have anything happen to them. But anyway, so that's just interesting to how it all is going to tie into this episode. When it comes to your dad fashion, I think, if that's what you mentioned, I don't remember.
I did say a dad fashion. That's a new segment right there.
Yeah,
dad
there you
fashions.
Go. Dad fashions.
This is my dad fashion. No, did he?
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. So let's get this.
Let's get rolling, man.
Yeah.
So you mentioned it. You mentioned LeBron James Jr. or Bronny. That's what they call him.
What? So is his name Bronny or is his name LeBron James Jr.?
I believe he is LeBron James Jr. I mean, we could use this thing called the internet to verify that.
Yeah, it says Bronny James.
Yeah. I mean, we could pull it up real fast.
Anyway, so he.
But yeah, so Bronny James, this declared for the draft, as you mentioned, and he's also in the transfer portal in case he doesn't get drafted. He can go to a different college, keeping his options open. And the short version of that story, because I don't want to talk too much about the basketball aspect of it, I think he should have waited another year or two to kind of mature as an individual and a player, because the pressure of who he shares his name with will be great. And quite honestly, from what I've seen and heard from the experts, the dude's game is just not ready yet. It's not NBA ready. Not saying he can't get there. It's just not quite ready now. And I want this dude to succeed. I don't want any person really in the NBA to, or any professional athlete, unless they're like an absolute jerk. I don't want this kid to not succeed. I just want to make sure that that person or that child or that man
right.
is is able to stand on his own too and carve out his own identity without being in the shadow of his father. But he did say something that made me laugh. He said, Giannis can look at his brother on the roster and see him down there. And, why can't I have my dad? I'm like, well, Giannis's brother, Thanasis, by the way, not just Giannis's brother. Thanasis is an Olympic athlete. He plays for his country in the Olympics and FIBA. So he's not just some dude.
Yeah.
He's not his brother, but he's not just some dude. But I digress. Enough about basketball.
Yeah.
So that's the inspiration of this whole episode. As you mentioned, we're talking at this moment more about following your parents' career path.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I know we've talked about this in the previous episodes, is you want your children to be better than you. At least that's what I want for myself. I want my kids to be better than me, to where they are going to college. I mean, now because it's good for them, but because they want to learn more and be able to get that degree that they want to do. And so I want them to be better than me. I want them to, to explore different opportunities. And if they want to follow in my footsteps, I hope they make that right decision to do that. And because I'm not no actor or anything, or whatever.
Not?
Yeah, I try not to be, but so I want them to create their own path. That's my personal opinion. But if they follow my footsteps, I want to make sure that they know what they're getting themselves into, where you're not going to just sit there. Okay, so I'm gonna tell them how I got to the position that I'm in, and then if they want to, they go and do it. If they don't, then hopefully they're making the right decision on what they do in their path to life and their career. And when it comes to you and your kids, like, I'm not going to say that you gave your children a basketball once they came out. Cool, you're going to play basketball. Yeah, you want them to be kids first, and then keep, give them those ways of saying, okay, this is what I do for fun, or I like to do. How about you try it and see what you do, or see what you like? And I mean, my kids, my daughter likes to play baseball, and I love baseball. Like I love baseball. I love basketball, and they are trying to learn those things. And at least for it's kind of hard up here where I'm at, because it's a little bit harder to do, because it's an outdoor sport when it comes to baseball. But you do whatever you gotta do to make it happen, to where you can give them the practice. But I just want to make sure that everybody out there tells their kids to make it to where they make the right decisions on what they want to do, especially when of a certain age. Now, you have a preteen going on to be a teenager. I got a teenager. These are the times that's when you should start to see what their interests are. At least to say, I want to be a video game designer, or I want to be an actor, or my daughter wants to be a what is it called, a YouTuber or something. I mean, and it's like but you want to, but then of course as a parent you want to support that, as a dad you want to support that. And I in this inspiration, when it comes to Bronny, I agree with you 100%. As a basketball fan, he's not ready to be in the NBA, but maybe he learns better from if he gets the opportunity to learn from his father on that platform, because he can't, his father can't come to his game, or can't come on his bench and be at the end of his bench to teach him. He may need to go into his, he may need to come into the NBA and sit at the, like Theonis, or whatever his name is, at the end of this bench and learn that way. That may be a way that he learns how to play the game of basketball. And I do like that he kept his options open to where, hey, if he doesn't go to the NBA, he can still go to college to play in the college levels. And he could go, and I think they were talking about him going, or rumors of Ohio State or someplace in Ohio, maybe a small school, but then the name's already there. The name is already there. Even his younger brother, Bryce, when he comes up, which I think I heard that he's supposed to be better than him, at least from what I've, from what I heard.
From what we've heard.
You know what I mean? So what, so hopefully in that, what if you had that situation? Like, would you want your kid to, especially if you know that you are a better teacher at teaching him than the organization that he's a part of, as far as college?
I mean, I want my child to do whatever they feel is best for them. And if they truly feel, Bronny truly feels this is the best thing for him, okay, fine. I mean, what can I say to that? That's not my child. When it comes to my kids, if they want, let's say I was in the military. So you and I were both military brats. And by the way, I did some digging around. Apparently, a research team with Meta, Facebook, I think it's actually a Facebook team, but let's just roll it up to Meta because that's who they are now. They wanted to find out if parents' choice of career affects, their children. And this is according to scienceofpeople.com. And apparently, kids whose parents joined the military were 5 times more likely to join the military too. And in my personal family, it's true. I think the cycle for both my wife and I stopped at our level, but her parents, her grandparents, and I believe their grandparents on my side, it's my parents and their parents. And I believe 2 out of 3 would be great grandparents, or maybe at least 1 out of 3 great grandparents joined the military. So just using that as an example, if I'm a guy who was in the military and I believe that's what it is good for, it was good for me, it can be good enough for you, you should leave that option open. Then, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, of course, I'd say, hey, there's always this.
Yeah.
But if I had a bad experience, let's say I did for my 4 years, or I was discharged for a medical, like dishonorably discharged or whatever, something that is not positive, or maybe I did get honorable discharge, but I had an injury, whatever the case, I don't know. And I wanted to tell my child, hey, this is what I did, but you don't have to do it. You shouldn't do it. I think a parent's also entitled to the right to say that to their kid too. But ultimately, I would want my child to, as we mentioned in the dedication, believe in themselves and pursue their dreams,
Yeah.
So I'm a computer guy. If my children want to go down that path, I'm totally cool with it. And I'll do whatever I can to help them. I've got books on coding downstairs. I show them things here and there on the computer, but they do things on the computer differently. They're technologically savvy. They don't know all like the underlying, the ones and the zeros. They don't know machine language, and they're not coders or anything like that, but they're proficient with computers. They've grown up with computers, so they're not afraid of them. They just don't ask those types of questions that say, hey, why does this do this certain thing? And they did when they were younger, but for them, they just kind of see computers as a means to an end to get things done.
Yeah. And so I wonder if, say, for instance, in this inspiration, we have LeBron. I don't think so. Like, this is just my personal opinion, but if he had some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Some kind
Influence?
of influence. Like, say for instance, hey, look, I didn't go to high school. I'm sorry, he went to high school. I didn't go. He didn't go to.
I didn't go
I
to
didn't go to.
college.
Yeah, I didn't go to college.
Yeah.
And look how I turned out. You know what I mean? And I mean, of course, the rules are different now compared to what they were before. But But I would hope that those conversations in that household be had to where it's like, hey, you are 18, 19 years old. Now you can create your own path. And if this is the way you want to go, I'm in support of you 100%. If you want to go in the NBA draft, cool. And if you get picked up by your hometown Lakers,
whoever,
I mean, I guess the story is he may go to whoever son he plays for, but I don't think that's going to happen. But that's just from here or there, so it's just more just what kind of influence.
That easy.
Yeah, exactly. What kind of influence are you going to have? And I don't have any influences on my kids when it comes to what they want to do. The only influence I have is what do you want to do, and I'm going to help you get there.
I think you do have influence. I don't think we have complete control.
Yeah,
we can influence and inspire, and we can try to influence and say, hey, I know you're really into X, but have you considered Y? And they're like, yeah, no.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that's another thing too, that there's some times where we're gonna hopefully not talk too much about it, but me personally, I'm a better baseball player than I'm a basketball player. But I love basketball, but I love the sport of basketball more than baseball. So when I played baseball, it was like, man, you're really good at catching the ball. So what do you want to do? Are you going to go with your first love? Are you going to go with what you think you could do better at? So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. And now we're going to be talking about inheriting the business, the family business. I mean, of course, with this inspiration, it's not a family business, but what kind of inspiration can you give when it comes to, or examples of inheriting the family business?
Well, before we do that, I was actually going to say we should look at nepotism, because some people are going to view this situation that way. They're going to say, "Oh, he didn't earn it," and I am never going to say anything like that, because as much as I don't think Bronny is quite NBA ready, what is there to earn? I mean, the dude's in the gym, he's going to college, he's working. Sure, I'm sure his father's name and who he is going to have influence on people that are looking to draft him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily know that they are only going to draft him because of his dad. Because that's the thing. Like, we'll find out. We'll find out what his stock is worth when he goes and he does all this stuff. Sticking with Bronny as an example, but I've heard nepotism, and nepotism, according to the American Heritage Dictionary online, there are three definitions, and I'll read you all three briefly or quickly. 1, favoritism shown or patronage granted to relatives, as in a business. I don't know if there's been any favoritism because the man hasn't been drafted yet. He's just talking about
he'll be favoritism if he got drafted number 1 overall.
Right. Well, yeah. Which we know that's not happening.
Yeah.
That's just, you'd be crazy to do that. Undue attachment to relations, favoritism shown to members of one's family, bestowal of patronage in consideration of relationship rather than merit of legal claim. That sounds a lot more like legalese. And then 3, the favoring of relatives or personal friends because of their relationship rather than because of their abilities. And that, I think, right there is the biggest one, that people are associating this situation with nepotism, is because of his relationship, his father, rather than, what he's been able to do on the basketball court at USC and before. And so I think in terms of nepotism, this situation just, I don't know, to me, it doesn't quite fit the bill. Do you agree with that?
I don't think it does. Because it doesn't. At least how I take it is, he's not. If he owned a team, if LeBron James owned a team, and he goes and drafts him number one, yeah,
Right.
a little bit of a different story. But
Yeah.
he's just a player at his job or at his company. So,
Or even if he doesn't draft him number one, right? He drafts him wherever he gets him, but then pays him the most.
yeah, that would be straight up garbage.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, what's going on, man? You got this? Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I would hope that him as an owner would make the right decision. But yeah, and I know when it comes to a lot of this when it comes to I see a lot more examples of restaurants. So you have a person that's been with the company for a long time that's like knows the ins and outs, and the other person, the owner, is like, I'm about to retire, I'm gonna go and give it to my son or daughter who ain't never washed a dish in their entire life, kind of like a silver spoon.
Yeah.
And
I was good.
Oh yeah, and I was gonna say, yeah, and when you get that, then that's something that is going to be, how do you why are you putting that much pressure on that particular family member when they may not even want it? They may not even want to be a part of that. They want to carve their own path. Like they want to work for a different company and make their own business. So
Yeah.
that's just how I feel.
I wanted to read something about the nepotism from Harvard Magazine. This scientist, his name is Matthew Steiger, and I hope I'm saying it wrong or saying it right. I don't want to say it wrong, but he's a scientist at Opportunity Insights. So I'm going to read this whole paragraph. I think it's very informative, and I'll try to go through it, like I said, quickly. I was reading earlier. By analyzing publicly accessible census data, Steiger found that social connections have an astonishing impact on economic mobility. Before turning 30, nearly 1/3 of Americans will work at the same firm as a parent. That's interesting because just putting a pause there, and I'm halfway done already. 1/3 of Americans work at the same firm as their parent. So in that article I referenced earlier with Meta and their research, not only did they mention military people being more likely to have children follow their footsteps, but if your dad's a lawyer, you're more likely to be, actually, I think that one said you're more likely to be a doctor. But if your dad's a doctor, you're more likely to be a doctor. If your mother's a nurse, you're more likely to be a nurse. And that's another one that's true in my family. My aunt was a nurse, Trey's sister. His mom and sisters were nurses, or his mom was a nurse, his sister's a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So medical profession, I've got two other cousins who are one's in like family medicine, like she's more on the psychological side, and the other one's an actual doctor. So it's very interesting to see how that all breaks down. And then another part of the article mentioned that parents who were in like the forestry or farm industry, the dads in that industry, the sons were more likely to follow in their footsteps and do the same thing. So going back to 1/3 of Americans here, it says also in those jobs, these young adults earn almost 20% more than they otherwise would. And due to gender sorting, the tendency of men to work in higher paying professions than women and existing wage gaps, white men from high income families benefit from nepotism far more than poor people, women, and minorities do. So, as an aside, I've had some conversations with some friends who have said things like, and I don't want to dive too much into the political, social stuff too much. That's kind of a polarizing topic, and we tend to steer clear of those.
Mm-hmm.
But they were mentioning how, well, white folks do this all the time. Why, it's about time we get ours. I'm like, well, I get where they're going when they're saying that. When I was focusing squarely on Bronny, and that's what took us in that direction, focusing on Bronny, I was looking at it more, again, just from a pure basketball NBA readiness standpoint, not so much from the other stuff. And I still don't quite know if this qualifies. Actually, no, I don't think it qualifies as nepotism. But I thought that this paragraph giving that information was interesting because they really have seemed to have broken it down to gender and then social status and then race. And sorry guys, I hate to bring race into it.
Right.
So yeah, we have to stay too long on that. I thought the whole cry of nepotism thing it just didn't fit the bill to me. I can see where people are getting that from. And even I at first was kind of thinking the nepotism thing, like, oh my God, he's just getting selected because of his dad. And it's like, well, the draft hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
He's just declaring for the draft. Draft hasn't happened yet. And there's no guarantee that the dude's going to get picked.
Yeah.
And then let's say he does get picked. Who's to say he's going to play with his father? Is LeBron going to call up the Memphis Grizzlies and tell them, you need to handle my son this way? I mean, maybe he may have some influence because of him being still at almost 40 years old, the face of the league. But yeah, I don't know, man.
He's still going to have he's still going to have some influences on him.
He'll have some,
like when it
sure.
comes, or not only his influences on him, but he's going to have influences on whoever is taking him on. So if it's going to be his next college that he goes to, or if he stays at USC, who knows? Or if it's going to be if he gets drafted, he's going to say, hey, and of course it depends on the situation. So situation would be that he is doing really good at practice and he gets a starting gig and then he plays 1 minute, like those type of basketball X's and O's. He'll probably say a little something that, hey, LeBron or Bronny, you're not going to be playing on the team or whatever. Got to be playing starting. So he's going to have a little bit of an influence on it. Now it's up to said organization to hear him out. As far as, hey, I don't care who you are. You can be Queen Elizabeth or whoever. I'm taking care of my business here. You can do whatever you gotta do at home.
Yeah, you keep that. You keep that over there. This is how I run my business.
Yeah,
because each team is a business.
Mm-hmm.
And then getting kind of a sports adjacent. Because I apologize, or we apologize if we spent a bit too much on the sports topic here. But Bronny again is the inspiration for this larger topic. And on the topic of nepotism, now I coach on the side for, volunteer coach. And one thing that I did, and I don't know if this I guess I don't know if this counts as nepotism because it's not really a business, but when I coached my daughter's team, the 2 seasons I did, I made her earn it. She didn't start or anything like that. I wasn't extra hard on her because she's my daughter. I just wanted to level the playing field and make sure people understood on that team that I'm not going to show my daughter any favoritism because she's my daughter. Mm-hmm. I have certain expectations, and going back to LeBron and his child, I'm sure he has expectations, just like I'm sure Donald Trump had certain expectations for Eric and Ivanka and Barron. Well, Barron's too young, but I'm sure he's had expectations for his kids, the Baldwins. I'm trying to think of other actors, the Brolins. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there are other expectations for these people that are well known and ones that we don't know who do the same career or work for the same company. It's like, okay, cool. You and I both work for fill in the blank. Let's just say Exxon.
Yeah.
We both work for Exxon, but that doesn't mean just because I work here that I am going to go and fight every day for you to move up already.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
Let me give you a good word.
really,
And sure, I'll give you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really a horrible way to describe it. But basically, me personally, if it was my child, I'd say, okay, cool. You're in the door.
That's what I was gonna say.
Here's the things that you need to know. If you have questions about the company and the way things work, I'll help you, especially if it's something that I know well. So I'm in the same department as you. Another good example, Trey and I worked together at my previous employer. He's still there. We were in two totally different departments. But what I did as a family member is let him know, hey, here's how the benefits are. Here's how it works when you talk to these people. Watch out for these kind of things. You know what I mean? Like I gave him little nuggets and tidbits from
because you
me
know
working there all those years.
You know how he is. So you're basically helping. You know their personality and their traits and their attributes, so you know what they're about. So hey,
well, I know his. I know his.
I'm just talking about this in general. You know, even with your daughters, you know what they're about. So guess what? I know that you have enough to get in the door. Guess what? And I was going to bring the example of a childhood idol of mine, King Griffey Jr. So he played with his dad, and so guess what? His dad probably was like, I got this kid. His name's Junior. Let me, you may want to draft him because he's going to be a star. Okay, cool. But guess what? He gets in, he has to go through the system, through the show, and until he gets to the show, go through the minors. And he got into the door. And once he got into the door, he flourished. So anybody can they can give a good word in. They can say, hey, I got this kid, or I got this cousin, I got this mom or dad or whoever that will be perfect. But then guess what? I got you into the door, like you mentioned. How are you going to maintain it? How are you going to make yourself applicable to what you're doing?
How are you going to make yourself?
Yes, exactly.
I opened the door for you, or I helped you get in the door. How are you going to move yourself up? Like going back to Trey, I couldn't just call his manager in his position and say, hey, I'm his cousin. I work over here in this department. I've been here for quite some time. I want to make sure that this dude gets his full bonus, or, you need to make sure that this happens. Like, no, that I can't do that. I don't have that kind of influence, and I wouldn't, because then the dude wouldn't earn it. And I would be harassing that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wouldn't do it to my kids either. Well, it's easy for me to say that right now, but I feel comfortable saying I wouldn't do that to my kids. Yeah, I'd like them to work and establish their own identities. Yeah. Now, let's talk about running a family business or inheriting a family business.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. That's different.
That's a little different, isn't it?
Yeah, that's way. I would say way different, but there's a lot more differences in what you think. So
absolutely.
When you got a business, and I know for when it came to growing up, my family they had a cleaning business, so they go and clean the barracks and everything like that, or the housing. And we were super young at the time, and this is so of course it was a Murray's Cleaning. I don't know, I forgot what it was called. That was so many years ago. And so we sit there, and they would have us work and earn money, things like that. And all of a sudden, it got too much for them. And so they were like, all right, well, this isn't something that they're going to be able to pass down, because do we really want it? I don't really want it. I don't want to have a cleaning business. So, it could have gone down that path, but hey, I'm not, going to fall down that path. I want to create my own path, or I want to make my own business. I want to, growing up in high school, I wanted to be a nightclub owner. Like I wanted to make my own nightclub, and it was called
Did
a
you
Hot
really?
Spot. Yeah, it's weird. So
Wow.
yeah, I wanted to make this club called a Hot Spot, because it was like I want to make, this is going to be a hot spot. You can ask a lot of my high school friends doing that. That was something I've always wanted to have, and you do like little business plans and things like that. And yeah, it was just,
wow.
yeah,
You weren't joking.
yeah, no, it was deep. Like I wanted this, and that inspiration was from New Jack City. Wesley Snipes just sitting at the top, just looking down at his success.
Nino Brown.
Yeah. So, and so with that family business, that's it. So if I would have had a family business, I wish I would have been able to, I wish I, at least from an owner, I want to be able to give this opportunity to my children. But for me as a dad, I want to, just like we want to make sure that they can handle it. We want to make sure that they can do it. And if you've seen that from ages 10 to 20 and you see what the decisions they've been making and what they've been doing in their life or what they want to do, then then that's when you make your decision of, I don't want to give it to them. I want to give it to my other kid, or I want to give it to somebody that's been working in my company and been faithful for me, kind of like and I think in New Jack City they did that. Didn't they give it to? He was trying to give it to somebody anyway.
Oh man, I haven't seen New Jack City in so long, man. I can't even remember.
But he was trying to give the business to his family, and if you can't handle the business, then why? Then hopefully that you can make it to where you can teach them the right things. Is where when that opportunity does come, then hopefully it won't be too late. Then they'll be able to take over for that business.
Well, and I think they have to have the right motivation too, right?
And they have the right mindset.
Yeah, they have to want it. They have to have the drive and say, I like this business. My family's done this for fill in the blank, years, months, days.
Yeah.
Whatever the timeline is. But I see value in this, and I think that I could continue to do this and maybe even elevate this to the next level.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot with restaurants.
Yeah.
Right? Restaurants. I mean, look at Walmart. Walmart is a family-owned business.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, what's it, Sam Walton and then all the other Walton kids?
Yeah.
I think now one that's kind of is another example of going kind of in the opposite direction is Texas's own Whataburger. I believe the guy who owned it or ran it, I don't know if he passed away or gave it to his children, but there's a Chicago company, if I'm not mistaken, that's part of the ownership. Now, I don't know if they have complete ownership. You'll have to fact check me on that, but I know that the kids of Whataburger, I don't think they have all the control of it. I don't even know if they have a control. I think they have a controlling interest, but there's other people that have ownership in Whataburger, as an example. So some kids inherit a business and just say, yeah, I don't know why, Pops, Mom, they left this to me. I'm going to sell my shares and cash out.
Then you do have some that are just
imagine if Jeff Bezos or Mike or Bill Gates or Steve Jobs' kids, did something like that. They're like, yeah, this is cool and everything, but I don't care about this.
Yeah. And I was going to say, a lot, at least when it comes to the family business, a lot of that is passed down by wills too, so if it's in the will of just going to go to SEDEX, then they have, I don't know what the people are called, but people that handle their affairs like a mediator to a degree. Like, I don't know if that's the word, but yeah, just basically, hey, so your mom and dad wanted to give you this business. I'm here to help you out with everything. And then they'll have that person do everything. And then, so they're like, oh, well, I can't make the decision. What do you think? And then it's not really up to them. It's like, it's up to you. You got to be a big boy, a big girl about it. What do you want to do? So,
Yeah.
that's
I
interesting.
would say as parents, if we have a family business, I mean, this might even be applicable to a career path, a child going down the same career path. We mentioned it earlier, we say dropping nuggets, but basically giving them bits of wisdom and knowledge and help them be prepared.
Yeah.
So in particular, in terms of a family business, build a succession plan, right? Say, hey, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to one day stop doing this, and then this is going to be left up to you and or your siblings if they have siblings. And here's how much you're going to get, right?
Yep.
We talked about a child's motivation and then they become an adult. And you're at a point where you're like, yep, okay, cool. You can run the corn factory. Or the corn business. I'm good. So you're the one of my 12 children.
Yeah.
You're the one of all my children that has shown the most interest, that has a head for it, that wants to be involved. So when I retire and or pass on, this is the plan that's laid out for you. I'm going to show you all the things. You might even, right, give that child a role within the company early on, and then maybe various roles. So when they're younger, I don't know why I said corn factory, but you got a corn business. You have them go work in the cornfield, and then you have them work in a factory or the certain part of the farm. Then you have them do some stuff as they get older at corporate, because now they know what it looks like from the ground up. Then you have the business, the suit and tie, the collared shirt part of the business.
Mm-hmm.
You start showing them different roles there. Maybe they're just delivering coffee and donuts. They're an intern. They're an assistant. Okay, now they're working as an executive assistant, maybe, or they work at a corporate warehouse or whatever the case. I don't know what roles I can't think of here, but oh, you're good at math. Okay, cool. How about accounting? Because you're good with numbers. You've shown an interest, or you're good with computers, but you move them around in different roles. So then the child understands that multiple facets of the business, and they don't have to do all those things, but maybe you just give them a couple of different roles so they understand it. And you as a parent, and I'm hoping one day, as an example, Chasm blows up. I hope one day I'm able to leave money we make from this to the kids and leave the business to them and let them podcast, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Right. Let's just say that we're at the level of a radio company or a big media company, right? Where I can say, okay, cool. You're good at this. You're good at that. You're good at that. You've worked multiple roles. I'm going to transfer ownership. Your mom still owns a big part of this, but you guys are going to run the day to day.
Yeah.
You got to prepare them for the next level.
Yep.
You got to create, you got to maybe, and so I said do different jobs, but like when I was reading the Harvard Business Review earlier, they mentioned something to the effect of like building a shadow program if you're trying to get them to take over the business. And that's pretty much like being hands-on.
Yeah.
You go watch somebody do it. I mean, and to me, shadowing's cool, but if it's something that they can actually do, it's more tangible. And for me, at least, for the way I learn, if I can touch it.
Yeah.
I can watch you click a mouse all day, but if I'm running the keyboard and mouse, it commits to memory.
Yeah. I think what's important too is, as a family business owner, not me, but just if you are a family business owner, to all the listeners out there, ask your kids, maybe just while they're in your possession, or at least in your around you, just ask your kids about it. Like, hey, Like, let me get your honest opinion. Like, I want to do this and I want to give you this, but do you think you're ready for it? And if you are, then plan whatever you want to plan to get them ready to continue to go down those steps. But if you feel, but then if they're not ready, maybe they don't want the pressure. Maybe they don't want to have maybe they like doing what they like to do. Then it's like, okay, all right, I totally understand. I want you to, I want you, I don't want to put my business in your hands for you to falter because you didn't want to do it.
Yeah. And I'd
So-
ask them, I think it's even appropriate to ask your child why, why do you want to do this?
Yeah, exactly.
Because the appropriate question, or excuse me, if they have the right reasons for wanting to do it, and I know right is subjective, but the kid's just like, well, you do it and you make a lot of money, or you're the boss, and I don't want to have anybody tell me what to do. And I was like, okay, cool, but you don't have to work for my company or run my company just because you want to be the boss.
Yeah.
Like there's other things that you can do that allow you to be more in control and assertive.
Yeah.
So I think asking them the right questions, what they like to do. It's kind of like, there's this guy that I think his name is Ty Allen Jackson. He's his brother that's on Instagram, and every video he's sitting in his car. He talks about what children do. Children, and I think I've sent a couple of videos to our beard and the glasses. Yes, he's always sitting in his car. And one of the ones I saw within the last 24 to 48 hours was he said, children ask questions because a lot of stuff is new. So don't get upset. It's their nature. Allow them to ask questions. And then what we do as a society that messes us up is that we tell them to stop asking questions, but let that curiosity grow. Let them continue to ask questions because that's how they develop. Even as adults, that's how we develop. So you ask them questions, they ask you questions, and it's an exchange of information. It becomes an exchange of interest for information, and I think that will ultimately lead them down their own path.
Yeah.
Now,
I agree.
That's a wide topic, saying, building your own career path, but you can run the family business or take over and own the family business, but still carve your own career.
Yeah, I agree.
Like imagine what 20 years time, maybe 30 years. Imagine what Tesla's going to look like when, let's say, Elon's son or daughter take over.
Mm-hmm.
Or Jeff Bezos. I don't know if he has kids. I don't remember if he has kids, but anybody on of that ilk that owns their company outright. Imagine what it'll look like. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited about that. I'm not to sound like a huge fanboy of those companies. I just mean because you and I have been here on this planet long enough to see these companies seemingly come out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen what it's like to have. We haven't had our own. Let's say Michael Douglas. When our parents and their grandparents were watching TV, Kirk Douglas was the handsome guy, and then all the movies, and then later on, Michael Douglas comes through, and then for us, we see Thanos, Josh Brolin, but there is his dad, James Brolin. You know what I mean? So I'm interested to see what that looks like for the Apples and the Googles and the other companies that are out there. These social media guys, these people who have carved their own path. So maybe they call it new media. What we're doing is considered new media, quotes.
Yeah.
But you and I don't have the personalities, right, to be on radio or on broadcast on TV. But you look at these folks, the Charlie DeMillos and the Paul brothers, who now are doing boxing and wrestling. Hilarious. Joe Rogan has become, he's the biggest one. He's the biggest podcast in the world. What if Rogan's kids decide later on they want a podcast and take over the family business? It goes from the Joe Rogan experience to the kid Rogan experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know when it comes to those bigger companies or just any family business, I think they also have some, they have certain influences or certain people inside their company that make it to where they're not going to make them, they're not going to just give them the family business. They're going to see that they're like that bug on the wall to make sure that, hey,
the board of directors.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. They're going to have, then they're going to make sure they're doing the right thing to where, hey, I'm part of this company too. So you can't just go and give your company to your long lost adopted daughter that you've only met 3 times that you have from somebody, I don't know, they're going to make sure it goes to the right person. Yeah, that's
because they got money tied up. They're like, nah, let me tell you something. I done put a good couple $100 million in here.
Mm-hmm. So we all going to talk about this.
Yeah, you know how much stock I own in this company, right? Let's just let me be clear once again. This company didn't get there by itself.
Yep.
Somebody helped to get here. It was with my money.
Exactly. So yeah. But no, man, this has been good, man. I'm glad that we got to talk about this. Because
this has been fun.
Because it's gonna be something that we, like you said, you got chasm. There may be a company or there may be a business that I make, and it's gonna be a realization that I'm gonna have to do something with it. Meaning either give it to the kids or give it to somebody that I feel comfortable with. But,
man.
So,
I think that I think this is definitely going to be interesting to watch. Just going full circle, referring to Bronny. It's gonna be interesting to see how that shakes out. I'll have my popcorn ready at the draft. But in terms of the future leaders of our world, going way back to the dedication, because that was so long, an hour and 7 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Rich and I are huge proponents of finding your own way.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be who you are. And parents, it's our jobs, not just the dads, but parents, it's our jobs to make sure our children are comfortable living in their own skin.
Yeah, and let them ask questions. Let them ask you questions, and don't be afraid to answer those questions. And so, so you can find us on Dad Mode everywhere, Dad Mode Pod, Instagram, X, whatever, Facebook, something like that.
Even Gmail. Yeah, we are Dad Mode Pod on Facebook. Yes, we are.
Exactly. So if you email us your questions or concerns or just to talk to us, to get to know us and figure out how we doing, see how my move is doing, at dadmodepod@gmail.com. Not at, don't forget that. Yeah, anyway, y'all know how email works. You can find me at N2Media20 on all the things. And what about you?
I am at eCanTalk. eCanTalk on all the things except for the tickety tick tack talks.
Oh yeah, I'm not on that yet.
And we don't have that for Dad Mode either.
Yeah,
because we don't know if they'll be around much longer.
Oh, I know. So yeah,
but that's it, y'all. We appreciate it. There's one more episode left.
That's it.
One more. Thanks for your love and support.
Oh yeah, we got the dad joke.
How do computers get drunk? They take screenshots.
Ooh. I like that. Drop the mic on him.
Shout out to Jack Resider for that one. Peace.